Hey, sweet faces, working on just getting these benchmarks to start sticking with us on this first page. Just as a couple of reminders, when we're talking about millimeters, we're talking about approximately the thickness of a dime. When we're talking about centimeters, we're talking about the width of a paper clip. For a meter, we're talking about the height of your chair down to the floor. And we're talking about a kilometer, we're talking about a 12-minute walk. All right, my loves, let's dive in. Soccer field, 120 meters is the best estimate. The height of a book, about 2 centimeters. Wingspan of a bat, about 48 millimeters. Height of a person, 165 centimeters. The width or length of the glasses is about 50 millimeters. And a school bus doing their full route in the morning, picking up all of the students for school, about 60 kilometers. Any questions on this first page, please bring them with you to class. All right, Nuggets, so we're converting in length. You do have a printable with this information on it, but just as a reminder, a lot of these are base 10, which base 10 is our friend. So just to give you a starting off point, if you didn't have your printable, 1 centimeter is about 100 millimeters. 1 meter is about 100 centimeters, and 1 kilometer is about 1,000 meters. And with that said, let's dive in. So 7 meters to centimeters. If we come up here, 1 meter is 100 centimeters. So we're going to multiply this by 100. 7 times 100 is 700. Over 2 kilometers to meters, we see that we need to multiply by 1,000. That gives us 9,000 meters. Centimeters to millimeters, 1 centimeter equals 100, or I'm sorry, not 100, 10 equals 10. So we're going to multiply by 10 here. 12 times 10 is 120. Kilometers to centimeters. We had to do some jumping here. So to go from kilometers to meters, we multiply by 1,000. To go from meters to centimeters, we multiply by 100. So I can do two-step. I can multiply this by 1,000 to get 3,000 meters. And then I can multiply that by 100, which means it has 3, 4, 5 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to get 300,000 kilometers. Meters to millimeters, again, a little bit of a double jump, or if I use my base 10 knowledge, it could be a single jump. Meters to centimeters times 100 to meters times 10. So if I start by multiplying this by 100, I get 600 centimeters times 10 gives me 6,000 millimeters. And then kilometers to millimeters, big jump, times 1,000 times 100 times 10. So I'm going to start with times 1,000. That gives me 5,000 meters. Times 100. That gives me 500,000 centimeters. And then last one, times 10. So add another zero, gives me 5 million millimeters. Any questions on these? Please bring them with you to class. But as a reminder, base 10 is your friend. Drop your zero, find your fact, multiply, and put them back. All right, loves, doing some more conversions. Just as a reminder, 1 centimeter is 10 millimeters. 1 meter is 100 centimeters, and 1 kilometer is 1,000 meters. With that, let's dive in. I have 2,000 meters. I want kilometers. I'm going to have to divide. So I'm going to divide this by 1,000, and it gives me 2 kilometers. Centimeters to meters. There are 100 centimeters in a meter. So I'm going to divide by 100. It leaves me with 4 meters. Millimeters to centimeters, I need to divide by 10, leaving me with 9 centimeters. Millimeters to meters, I have to divide by 1,000. It leaves me with 3 meters. If I could not do it in one jump, I could do 3,000 divided by 100. And then I could take that answer and divide it by 10 to get 3. So this would give me 30. divided by 10 equals 3. Coming down here, millimeters to kilometers. When in doubt, stretch it out. So millimeters to kilometers. If I count all of my zeros, to go from kilometer to millimeter is 1,000. To go to centimeter is an extra 100. And to go to millimeter is 10. That means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 zeros. I'm dividing that by 1 million, which means I can chop off my zeros, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and it leaves me with 50 kilometers. Remember that they can look big and scary, but we know how base 10 operates. Last one, centimeters to kilometers. We're just going to chop off 1 0 here. We're going to divide it by 100,000. Because we had to do that extra 10 to get from centimeters to millimeters, this time we don't need to do that. So when I cut off my 6 zeros, I'm left with 10. Or I'm sorry, not 6 zeros, 5, 100. There we go. Since we have 3, 6, 7 zeros, we're cutting off 5. It leaves us with 100. I could also set it up if I wanted to. Up to you how you work it through. Any questions? Bring them with you to class. All right, sweet faces, meters to kilometers and meters. When we see it set up like this, we know 2 things. Number 1, I know that I'm going to have to divide. And I know that because it's giving me meters as an option. When I see this, this is telling me it's a remainder. Any remainder stays in its current form. So any leftover meters are going to be written as meters. So if we're going from meters to kilometers, I have to divide by 1,000 because there are 1,000 meters in a kilometer. So when I do that, I get 5 kilometers and 850 meters left over. Seems like a big remainder, but as long as it is smaller than what we're dividing by, it is okay. Centimeters to meters, I'm dividing by 100. It's going to give me 3 meters and 15 centimeters left over. Millimeters to meters, I have to divide by 1,000. And I know that because there are 10 millimeters in a centimeter. And there are 100 centimeters in a meter, which gives me 1, 2, 3 zeros. When I divide that, it's going to give me 7 meters. And 770 left over again. As long as it's smaller than what we're dividing by, it is okay. Millimeters to centimeters, I divide by 10. That gives me 7 centimeters and 6 millimeters left over. Centimeters to kilometers. Looking at our zeros, there is 100 centimeters in 1 meter, and there are 1,000 meters in 1 kilometer. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which means we're dividing by 100,000. Looks scary, but it's not. We can get 4 kilometers or 400,000 left over, 4,530. Again, it's smaller than what we're dividing by, so it is a-okay. Last one, we're talking about lots and lots and lots of zeros here. So let's work it through and count our zeros. There's 10 millimeters in 1 centimeter. There's 100 centimeters in 1 meter, and we need to get all the way to kilometers. There's 1,000 meters in 1 kilometer. So we have 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the 1. So we're dividing by 1 million. We get 8 kilometers and 283,000 left over. Okay? Drop your zeros, find your fact. We can divide and put them back. Last page, we are looking at some word problems. So it says that Claudia has a pencil that is 9 centimeters long. How many millimeters is that? 9 times 10 gives us 90 millimeters because there are 10 millimeters in every centimeter. Anne Marie is going to run a 10 km or 10 kilometer race. How many meters are there? There's 1,000 meters in 1 kilometer. So 10 times 1,000 gives me 10,000 meters. Coming down here, a parallelogram is 3 kilometers long and 14 kilometers wide. What is the area in centimeters? This one was a stick stir. I would start with measuring the area in kilometers. Area equals length times width. So when I do that, I have 14 times 3, easy peasy, right? That's 42. That's kilometers, but I need centimeters. So I'm going to go back through and find my zeros, okay? So there are 100 centimeters in a meter. There are 1,000 meters in a kilometer. So that means we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 zeros to add. Put my comma in the wrong spot. There we go. So we are adding 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4,200,000. 4,200,000. Questions on this? Bring them with you to class. Oh, and of course, add your centimeters. All right, a pond is 25 meters long and 12 meters wide. What is the length of this pond in centimeters? So don't get tricked. I gave you length and width, but I only wanted you to convert the length. 25 meters to centimeters. I am going to multiply by 100. That means I add 2 zeros, 2,500 centimeters. Last two, Michael is reading a measuring tape that says 60 millimeters. However, he needs to measure 10 centimeters. How much further does he need to go? Well, we need to talk about this in the same conversion. So I have some options. I can make my centimeters to millimeters or my millimeters to centimeters. So I can either divide by 10 and see that this is 6 centimeters, or I can multiply by 10 and see that I need 100 centimeters. If I do it that way, I need to continue another 40 millimeters or 4 centimeters. Last one, Layla has 3 pieces of fabric that are 5 meters long. How much fabric does she have in millimeters? Well, first I'm going to take my meters to millimeters by multiplying by 1,000 because there's 100 centimeters in a meter and 10 meters in a centimeter. That gives me 5,000. Here's the catch though, she has 3 of these. So if I multiply that by 3, I end up with 15,000 millimeters. All right, Sue Faces, questions, comments, concerns, crunchy tacos, bring them with you to class. Have a good week.